Trump, as it turns out, is not Hitler. We should have led with that. That's an important news piece of news to bring to you. He's not Hitler, as it turns out. Just ask the people who have been telling us he's Hitler and a Nazi and all the fascist things for the past few months. And that would be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, whose messages about Trump sound dramatically different this week than they did last.
I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him.
I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature. I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent. And it can be trusted, win or lose.
Okay. So we're going to peacefully transition power to Hitler, who then immediately begin killing you all. He will open up the camps and start unleashing the DOJ on all of you and sending the military to your houses to arrest you if you didn't vote for him. That is what they were, minus the killing all of you, that is what they were saying days ago. You could still measure it in hours. But maybe not so Hitlery now that we've lost. Okay, just underscoring the absolute bullshit of everything they've been saying. It's a point Charlamagne was making over on his radio show, and he's not wrong. Take a listen.
I will say this. I'm glad everybody's having a sense of optimism because the reality is we have no choice because we're here now. Donald J. Trump is going to be the 47th president of the United States of America, like it or not. And we all hope for the best for this country. That's all we can do. But don't y'all find it strange that now that he's won, they're not calling him a threat to democracy? They're not calling him a fascist. I mean, damn, Monday.
They're not calling him anything.
They can't. On Monday, they was just calling him that. I would think that, if you really believe that, then somebody's speech would be about how America effed up and how things are about to be really bad.
Leaving that man
He's
alone.
the most powerful man in the world now.
Well, it just makes you wonder how much of it did they really believe or how much of it was just politics.
Now,
so.
Okay, I'm confused because Charlamagne called him a fascist and forced Kamala Harris to say she thought he was a fascist. Like he demanded, which I don't get it. Like you believe it or you don't believe it because you said it, you pressed her to say it and she said it. And now you're saying you think she just said it to win the election and that her behavior's changed. So what, I mean, you're well aware of that. You know, you just made her say it. Do you believe it? Because you don't sound like you believe, it reminds me of that Ezra Klein clip. He's the god on the left who now they developed like some severe crush on him. He was wrong about almost everything, just FYI. And by the way, with their whole where are we going to find a podcaster like Joe Rogan? He's your god. He's your kale-eating, scooter-riding, leftist effete god. That he doesn't have the influence of a man's man like Rogan with the UFC fighting and the hunting and the guns. I'm sorry, but that's not your God is not the God. He's just not the God of podcasting. So try harder. He admitted this on his podcast when Joe Biden was spiraling downward and Ezra Klein was one of the people he thought he should be replaced. He admitted this in a pretty interesting moment earlier in this campaign. Listen.
It would be quite unpleasant for me personally to come out against the president as a elected official in the Democratic Party and weighing what will happen if Donald Trump wins and saying, in a revealed preference way, I can live with Donald Trump winning. And I've had people say that to me off the record, to be fair.
Really?
I have had top Democrats say to me basically something like, I don't know why all these Democrats who think Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy are acting the way they are. But the reason I'm acting the way I am is because I don't think that.
Who the fuck is this? Who are these people? Out your sources, Ezra. I'm about to be in leaking text mode over here myself. That is crazy.
That was Tim Miller, who I think he's the fool who interviewed Doug Emhoff, among others, and didn't ask him about the abuse allegations. He is with the bulwark not the Dispatch. And that is an important distinction because the Dispatch, they're not pro-Trump. That's Jonah Goldberg and Steve Hayes, who are decent men who really can't stand Trump, but they're not lunatics and their reporting is solid. The Bulwark are the lunatics. They're one step away from the Lincoln Project. They've truly, severe TDS to the point where you get Doug Emhoff sitting there and you don't ask him about the abuse allegations against him at all. So that was Tim Miller on the receiving end of Ezra Klein's comments saying like, what? But at least Tim Miller's being kind of consistent, right? He's like, no, he's Hitler. No, what are you saying? They could accept Hitler. You can't accept Hitler. So it's amazing to see that veil come down. I promised you this yesterday. I said we heard that there was a Lincoln Project live feed from election night. It wasn't Lincoln Project. It was the Bulwark, the crazy Tim Miller, whatever, lunatic, never Trump site. And we pulled a little bit of how they took the news on Tuesday. Watch.
Let's talk about our feelings for a second.
Okay. The New York Times just decided to get...
That's what real men do.
Just decided to publish their needle. You want to know what they've got where the needle's right now?
Yeah, sure.
They've got Trump at 275 and Harris at 263.
All right, let's see. I'd rather be Trump. Trump is not just gaining in the rurals. He's gaining in Miami, Chicago, New York, Dallas, Houston. None of those are swing states.
It's a pretty grim evening, all told. There's no way to sugarcoat it. The trend lines are bad everywhere. If present trends continue, that'll be the big story. Whether we have, to use the name of your outfit, whether we have a bulwark for democracy.
Something important. I read somewhere that this election actually isn't all that important.
Being correct over the next 4 years is not really going to bring a lot of joy. I will tell you that. I'm not going anywhere. I'm fucking not leaving.
There is Bill Kristol joining at the last minute, by the way. Okay, well, good luck. That's fine. You can continue standing for your principles and continue losing. That's fine. How did it work out the first time again? Donald Trump lost in 2020 because of COVID, because of the most extreme development we'd seen in public health in generations, which sent the world into chaos and, by the way, led to a lot of mail-in balloting. I'm sorry. I've been one of those who's been mocking the election deniers, but how did they have 15 million more votes in 2020 than they've had before or after? I realize we had more because to some extent because the mail-in balloting was easier, but this does smell bad. You've got to look at that and say that smells bad. Anyway, fine. You're going to keep losing. Trust in the media is at an all-time low. Can you blame them? Let's be honest. There's very good reason for this. We're all seeing how stories can be shaped or buried or killed or manipulated, depending on who's in charge. And this is why I want to tell you about a platform that does not play by those rules, one that prioritizes transparency above all else. Listen to this. The platform's called Ground News, an app and website that gathers related articles from around the world in one place, highlighting each source's political bias and corporate influence. And they show you stories that are underreported by one side of the political spectrum. A recent Gallup survey showed declining trust in mass media, and guess who didn't cover it? Left-leaning media. On Ground News, more than 80% of the coverage of this story is coming from right-leaning sources. Ground News has an entire blind spot feed with stories like this that are receiving lopsided coverage. And my viewers get 50% off their Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to their website and to their app. They are independent. They are supported by subscribers, not corporate interests. Check them out at groundnews.com/Megyn. That's ground, GROUND, news.com/Megyn to take back control of the news you consume. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.